This is the discussion table with
Avery, he, they.
Ripley, they, them.
River, she, her.
And we'll be talking about mental health and LGBTQ plus topics on this podcast. For this episode, we will be talking about how to help with panic and anxiety attacks.
Symptoms of a panic attack include a pounding heart, palpitations, rapid heart rate, sweating, shaking and trembling, difficulty breathing and feeling as if you're choking or being smothered, chest pain or discomfort, nausea, an upset stomach, feeling dizzy, lightheaded, and faint, feeling unsteady, chills or feeling hot, numbness or tingling, feeling as if things are unreal, feeling detached from yourself, fear of losing control or going crazy, or fear of dying.
We are also going to talk about all the ways to stop a panic attack in the moment. Deep breathing, hands on the head to open up the lungs. Most people like to curl up on themselves when they're having a panic attack, and this is counterproductive for deep breathing. Find a focus object. Get your mind off of what's happening inside of your head. Picture your happy place. If your environment is chaotic, maybe lots of stimulation and noise, you may want to recede into your head and picture your happy place.
For example, mine is a field with long grass and flowers and gentle wind with no one in it except me. So, it's usually when I'm having a panic attack, I'm usually either, in my room, which is very messy and not very nice, which I could help that, but I don't. I don't think I've ever been in a long grass field with flowers and gentle wind, but
that sounds nice.
Yeah, it sounds very nice. And
reminds me of the sound of music when she's walking in the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of the sound of music.
Yeah, and then
another happy place is, this one's mine, is listening to music, just being in a room by myself, lights off, and my eyes are just closed, and I just have that one song on repeat, and I'm just picturing myself somewhere else while that music is playing in the background, so I'm calming myself down. It works really well.
Yeah, I'll usually do the same thing, maybe lights off, or I'll lie on the floor because it's cooler there, and just try to focus, really. Another way to help stop a panic attack is to keep lavender on hand and use it.
So for me, this one actually helped, no matter if it's real or not. So I used to have a cloth absolutely doused in lavender essential oil, and even if it doesn't really do anything, there's no facts behind it, it's the placebo effect that makes me feel better. So if you are prone to panic attacks, maybe buy some lavender essential oil. They're really small bottles, but there's a lot in it. Maybe a bunch of lavender. Maybe not lavender perfume, because that might not have real lavender in it.
I don't think any perfume that actually has roses and stuff in it actually have real flower scents in it.
Yeah.
I just think they just use that as a scent to just make it sell.
Yeah. So you can maybe make lavender perfume just by buying the essential oil and putting it in something. I don't know how to make perfume. But in general, just buy some form of lavender and keep it on hand if you're prone to panic attacks.
Another way to help with panic attacks is having a mantra, focusing on something other than the panic attack will help. For example, make the mantra before a panic attack, this too shall pass.
So those are 5 ways to help a panic attack, but how do you help someone else who's having a panic attack? So those were 5 ways to help yourself, but this is how to help other people. So 1 is to be predictable, so don't do something out of the ordinary while they're having a panic attack. Say, for example, if they have medication that helps them in the moment, which is a thing. You can have anti-anxiety medication that helps you in the moment of a panic attack. I learned that from my doctor after having a panic attack. So instead of just rifling through their bag, you can say, I'm going to go through your bag to find your medication. So second thing is always ask what they need. Don't assume that you know what they need. For example, don't touch them until they've said you can, because some people feel really like their skin crawls, and if you touch them, it's really not going to be very productive.
Sometimes touch can trigger the panic attack.
Yeah. So don't touch if they haven't said that you can. So then another thing, how to help another person, is help with deep breathing by slowing your own breathing and exaggerating your deep breaths, putting the hands on top of your own head. So mirroring that's the reason that you breathing slowly will help them breathe slowly, is because of mirroring. So if you're talking fast or moving fast or breathing fast, then the person having the panic attack will mirror you. And so one thing I learned in first aid is pursed lip breathing, which is just basically pursing your lips like you're going to whistle maybe. Well, no, not that. Not that, ignore that. So pursing your lips like, I don't know. If you don't know how to purse your lips, then look it up. Yeah. And then breathing out of your mouth. So that was something I learned in first aid, and the person having a panic attack has a better chance of slowing down their own breathing and heart rate if you stay calm. And then the last thing is speak in short, simple sentences, because confusion is the last thing they need in the middle of a panic attack.
Now, anxiety attacks. Anxiety attacks aren't really recognized by the DSM-5, but panic attacks are. There is a huge difference between anxiety and panic attacks, though. Anxiety attacks, there's less severe in anxiety attacks. Panic attacks can start without a reason, but anxiety attacks usually do start with a reason. Anxiety attacks can last for a while, but panic attacks usually last a few minutes, maybe an hour, or usually I think after 30 minutes. So maybe after like half an hour you're starting to calm down, but it's still kind of there.
Yeah, like your heart rate can still be up, but usually your breathing is calmed down by then if you have like supports.
How to help with anxiety attacks. All the ways to help with a panic attack still apply. Also, to sleep well, different types of therapy are psychotherapy, cognitive behavior therapy, exposure therapy, and talk therapy. Meditation is also a good way to help with anxiety attacks. Regular exercise, don't overuse caffeine, nicotine, or other drugs, and medication as well.
So, just to end off this episode, I will talk about a panic attack that I've had. So, as we said, panic attacks can come out of nowhere, and anxiety attacks usually have a reason. But panic attacks can also happen because of something that you're like anxious about. So, in the past 2 weeks, I've had 2 panic attacks, which is horrible, but I'm looking for help, so, it's not helpless. I'm not helpless, So, the first one I had was because of a stressful thing that I had to go to, and I ended up not going because my mother was understanding, and she said, well, you just had a panic attack about that, so in the moment, I was crying, and I had, my heart rate was up for, hours before, and it wasn't as intense as my other panic attacks have been, but it was still very taxing, and I fell asleep after, and that's usually what happens with me, is I'll have the panic attack and then I'll fall asleep. So the second one that I had in the last 2 weeks, or it might have been even a week, it was less than a week apart that I had 2. So this one came out of nowhere, and I was actually at school, and my friend was with me, and or two or three of my friends, and I was like, oh my god, I'm not feeling good. My breathing was weird and my heart rate was up, and I was walking to my class after lunch, and then I was like, I need to go somewhere so I can cry. So I went to the de-escalation room
You have one of those?
Yes, we do. It's on the second floor.
Oh, where's that?
It's... Do you know where Contact is?
Isn't it the fire room across from Contact?
Yes.
Okay.
So, so that's, you learn something new every day. So I was in the room, and one of the teachers at our school told me to put my hands on top of my head and start breathing deep. And it helped a lot because I was slouching, and I was holding my face to stop my tears from falling down into my mask, and I was gripping my ribs with my arms, and my elbows were pressing into my ribs, so that was
Ouch.
counterproductive. Yeah. So I was told to put my hands on top of my head and do deep breathing, and that really helped. And then I eventually stopped crying, and we talked about why I had the panic attack and what was wrong. And the first thing was was it because you were eating? And I was like, no. And then it's is something happening that's making you anxious? And I was like, yes. And I'm not going to go into that on a podcast because that's weird.
Yeah.
But so the reason I have panic attacks is because I actually have generalized anxiety disorder. So anxiety and panic attacks can come from that. They can come from anxiety disorders. There's also a thing called panic disorder. So that is a disorder where you panic a lot. So if you have enough panic attacks in a short amount of time, you can probably get a diagnosis and medication and treatment for that. So if you're listening and you're thinking, well, I've had those symptoms a lot, then maybe go to your doctor, because
Don't self-diagnose like that, but...
Don't self-diagnose, go to your doctor.
Yeah.
But also, self-diagnosing is not the worst thing.
It's not a terrible thing, especially if you can't go get a proper diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's just you should do a lot of research first.
Yeah.
Or just guessing off of the internet.
That could be a whole topic in itself. So, self-diagnosing, it's a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
But the point is, don't just go around saying, oh my god, I have panic disorder. Just go to your doctor. And if you have, an unsupportive family or anything, then maybe if you're over 16, I think you can go to the doctor by yourself in Ontario.
Can you?
Yeah.
Huh.
So...
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so you can make your own medical decisions for yourself. If you're under that age, good luck. I'm not sure because I'm over 16, so it doesn't really apply to me. But, maybe talk to your family about the benefits of therapy, which we could even go over if you need. I don't think you can comment on our podcast yet, but...
Suggestions are always open. If I'm not mistaken, we should be having an email up so you can email us suggestions of what you want to hear on the podcast.
So maybe we will have our email in our podcast next episode, but we don't have it yet. So, okay.
I don't know. I think we're good.
Okay. So that's the end of our 4th episode.
Right.
River, she, her.
Ripley, they, them.
And Avery, he, they.
Signing off.